The Honor Magic 6 Pro is going global and we managed to get our hands on it, so let's have a look at everything that you would need to know and give you our first impressions. The Magic 6 Pro is an interesting phone to me because it has some top-of-the-line specs and some interesting design choices. We'll dive straight into this and start having a look at the design of this Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the first thing we'll look at is that display. Here we've got a 6.8-inch 120Hz LTPO quad curve floating screen, and while most flagship phones now are reintroducing flat displays, Honor is sticking with the curve here, and I can't say that I'm a massive fan of curved displays, but the aluminium rails that surround this phone are pretty flat, which makes it a little bit easier to hold. On that 6.8-inch display, you'll notice that the Magic 6 Pro has moved the pill-shaped cutout to the center of the screen from last year's Magic Pro 5, and this is the right move. One of the best things about that pill cutout is that it actually has a really accurate 3D face unlock built into it, and I usually feel like with Android phones, they struggle a little bit with having face unlock built into the phones, but Honor here have it spot on. While we're talking about that display, I might not necessarily like a curved display, but I have to say one thing that this is fantastic at, and that is when you're watching content. When watching any type of content, having that full Dolby Vision support certainly makes this one of the best displays for watching anything. Colors are really vibrant and it pops out of the display, and it makes it feel like any film that you're watching is almost cinema-like. As well as that, there's also a peak HDR brightness of 5000 nits, which I think makes this one of the brightest displays on a mainstream phone anywhere in the world. The display on this phone though is superb, and there's no denying that is absolutely up there with some of the biggest flagship phones that you'll see around. But there is some magic to this phone, and it's when you flip it over. That magic is happening on the rear of the phone, and the Honor Magic 6 Pro has a star wheel triple camera housing, and it's one of the most eye-catching things that I've seen in a while. I kind of just can't stop looking at it. When you take a closer look at the cameras that are in that star wheel housing, they can make your eyes water because they are seriously impressive. We have a 180 megapixel periscope lens with a 1/1.4 inch sensor, which also has 2.5 times optical zoom. There's a 50 megapixel super dynamic Falcon main camera lens, which is an impressive name. On that main lens, you also get a variable aperture with a physical shutter that will open and close. The widest this aperture goes is f1.4, and it can go up to f2. And I don't think it changes a huge amount when having a look at some of the photos that we've taken here, but it's a really cool feature that not that many phones have. And to complete that trio of cameras, you also get a 50 megapixel ultra-wide camera. The star here though is that 180 megapixel periscope lens. It has more pixels to play with than things like the S24 Ultra, and this is a serious contender. The details that this lens can capture is phenomenal on that 2.5 and that 5 times lens. The pictures are crisp, the colors are accurate, and you can easily see that the highlights and the lowlights look unbelievable. These are some of my favorite looking pictures from a periscope lens that I've seen in a while, and I am seriously impressed with it. The main lens equally can take some really nice looking photos. They don't seem over processed, they're sharp without too much sharpness, and they capture some incredible detail. And of course, we have to spend a little bit more time with the camera to see what it can actually do and stack it up against some of those big boys. But you know what, so far in our first impressions, I'm impressed. When it comes to video, going up to 4K at 60 frames per second is what it maxes out at, and I think that is more than what most people need. The autofocus is quick and snappy, and the stabilization is surprisingly steady. Again, this is just a first impressions of the camera and video, but so far, so good. We are seriously impressed with this. Powering this Magic 6 Pro is the latest processor as well. You have a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, so anything you throw at this phone, it should handle with absolute ease, which is exactly what you need from a flagship spec phone. However, it is running that Magic OS 8. Magic OS does take a little bit of getting used to and just doesn't seem as simple or as intuitive as stock Android or One UI, for example. This is probably the biggest learning curve of the entire phone. And I'm not saying it's bad at all, it just has a lot going on and will take a little bit of time to go through and learn. That might be one of the only things that you want to consider when picking up the Honor Magic 6 Pro. And if you're worried at all about the Google Play Store, then don't be, because it is right there and you can download everything that you normally would right here on the Magic Pro 6. It still has some seriously impressive specs as well under the hood of this phone, and one of those specs that I am massively impressed with is the battery. It has a ridiculously big 5,600 milliamp hour battery, which should last you all day and more. And if you ever think you might run out of battery, then you don't have to worry, because it also has an 80-watt wired charging with 66-watt wireless charging, and it's IP68 and dust resistant, so everything you would expect this phone to have, it has it. It does have an interesting finish on the back of the phone though, so we have it in the Epi green color, and this is PU leather, so it's a fake leather on the back, and it has a really kind of leathery feel texture to it. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's different. I kind of like it. The Honor Magic 6 Pro is looking like it is up there at the top of the tree as a flagship phone with some of those big boys. And at the time of recording this video, we don't know exactly how much the Honor are going to be charging for this, but if you have a look at the pinned comment below, then we'll update that as soon as we know. Let me know though, what do you think of the Honor Magic 6 Pro? Is this something that you could lean towards and then end up ditching the likes of a Google or a Samsung? Let me know in the comments below. Before you leave, why not subscribe to the Android Authority YouTube channel as well? And if you do that, then we will see you in the next video.